Welcome to Barcelona. It's day 5. We've been here all week for VMware Explore. I'm Jason Benedicic, and I'd really like to talk to you about my top 5 takeaways from this week. I'd love it if you could share some of your takeaways with me in the comments down below. And if you like the video, please hit that subscribe button, click the bell, then you'll get notifications. So, starting out with my number 1, the European dominance. This week we have seen some really impressive numbers. There has been the buildings may be different, but the volume of people, the attitude, the atmosphere, everything here was so much bigger than what we saw earlier in the year in the US. Now, that could be that there's a different level of travel restrictions or appetite to travel, but also I think a lot of the technology world is generally US centric. You have more access to the product people, the marketing people, the events are maybe a bit more frequent. The European audience doesn't get as much of that, so conferences have been a long-term way of us getting all the messaging out to people, and I think they really appreciate that return. That leads me nicely into number 2. We've seen a lot of new blood around the conference. I've been going to VMware for probably, 10 years now, I'd expect. And I know a lot of people. This is a community that I grew up in. We all made friends. We were all bloggers. We've all been through that journey. This year seems different. Like, there was a lot of new faces. To me, this signals a couple of things. We are not stagnant as an industry, especially virtualization and a lot of the new technologies around cloud. So to me, what we're seeing is we're seeing new blood coming into the industry. We're seeing new people come to the conference to learn these things. That's a great news. Secondly, the rebranding seems to have worked. There's a new persona type. We had more conversations around DevOps, around cloud, around Tanzu, the ARIA platform. So I think we've seen there that 1, the rebranding has helped, but 2, we're seeing a lot of new people into the industry, and I think that's a really good thing. Number 3, sovereign cloud. It's been a hot topic in Europe. I can't say whether maybe it's a regional thing, but we have a lot more rules and governance policies around management of data, restriction of data. The tech industry is primarily dominated with US companies, and sometimes that brings a level of concern. So sovereign cloud has been a really big topic of discussion, and I really want to cover some more of that in a later video because I've got some ideas about how the sovereign cloud might evolve and how the future of data centers might look. Number 4, MultiCloud Experience. A lot of things that got said this week were customers are using multi-cloud whether they know it or not. So this really tends to work on what you call the cloud. A lot of people don't necessarily see SaaS platforms as being cloud. I don't use the cloud. Do you use Office 365? Do you use identity management from Google? Those sorts of things. Are you using a centralized logging solution from AWS? If that's the case, you're using those things as well as your other technologies, that means you're using multi-cloud. So we're starting to open up that conversation and normalization around multi-cloud being the norm. And it is. We see that all the time. Number 5, cloud chaos. I don't want you to take this away as a negative. Chaos in the cloud is not about there being disasters and problems that we can't solve. The chaos is actually in the user interface. If I am, and as we just discussed, using multi-cloud, that means I have a multitude of applications and interfaces and consoles that I have to get to when I'm looking at my applications and my estate. The one thing that we've really learned from the conference and talking to people is that we need the future to have more unified control planes, the ability for me to manage multiple clouds, multiple locations, edge, data centers, on-premises infrastructure, manage all of those in one place. And I think both VMware and NetApp are making huge strides in this area. Last week only at Insight, we announced BlueXP. VMware are doing the same with their ARIA platform and other things like that. So yeah, controlling that cloud chaos, that seems to be a really big point. Well, thanks for listening to my top 5. I hope you enjoyed that. We've got a lot more new content coming throughout the year. There's a couple more conferences. We've got reInvent, and then there is KubeCon 23 in Amsterdam early next year. So plenty of content coming. Please like and subscribe for future updates, and we'll see you next time on the channel.